I think it's Saturday. Yeah, it's Saturday. So happy weekend. It is Mother's Day weekend. I want to say happy all the mommies, okay, of all sorts. Okay, so you had a baby, possibly lost a baby. Um, Also people who are stepmoms or just moms to other people's children, stepmoms, godmoms, all moms. Okay, so I'm so excited because I think this is one that is talked about, but really not talked about. As y'all know, I'm a mother. I end up becoming a mom shortly after my herpes diagnosis. So, 2009, I found out my diagnosis in April. I got pregnant with my first son, which is now 15, in July of the same year, 2009. All right. So I know what it feels like to be a mom after a new diagnosis. I know how to be a mom after an older diagnosis. I end up having my second child in 2014. I was married at the time, so I end up having him. But by then, I had my older son, so I kind of went through the process already of what it feels like, ups and downs, rounds and rounds. But that was my first baby being married. All right, so I know what it feels like to be a mom with herpes. The thoughts of, can I pass it to my babe? How do I navigate? Even conceiving a child. What do I do to try to prevent my child from getting the virus of any sort? Know that I have type 1 and type 2. I typically do not have oral outbreaks at all. But at the end of the day, I have type 1 and type 2. So for my mommies who are kind of like, Belize, I'm kind of concerned about the type 1, just know I can kind of talk to you on that standpoint. And then type 2, I can talk to you from that standpoint too. So I know both. All right. So the first thing I want you guys to realize is that you can become a mother. Herpes do not prevent you from becoming a mother. It does not get you to a point where it affects your reproductive system at all, like gonorrhea, chlamydia, all right, or syphilis, or HIV doesn't affect your reproductive system. So those are the ones that will cause you to the point where possibly you cannot have children. So there's gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis. So herpes is not that at all. It does not affect anything. It will still work. Your uterus is fine. Your vagina is fine. You have nothing to worry about. Okay. So I don't want you to think that, you cannot have children. You can have children. That's number one. Number two, how to conceive. You will conceive the normal way. You're going to have intercourse with your partner. All right. In that process of having intercourse with your partner, you're just going to do what you normally would do. That person will have to release within you in the time that you're ovulating for you to have that baby. Now, a lot of people have asked me, will herpes reduce my chance of getting pregnant or make it hard? I've had clients come to me and say, Belize, I've been trying to have a baby. It seems like since my diagnosis, I can't have a baby. I will tell you, I have never heard that herpes have come into play, or have hindered a person from having a baby. I'm a strong believer in a baby will come when a baby's supposed to come to. Um, and I know it's kind of hard to hear, especially for my moms who have done IVF or is having a difficult time having a baby. But I also know people who have done IVF with herpes. I also know women who have struggled to have children and already had a child after herpes as well. So I just know I've seen kind of all of them. But I tell you now, sometimes it could be other things that you may be dealing with that may be making it hard. For some women, that's PCOS. Some other people, it's other things. So please consider, if you don't have any other conditions, well, if you have other conditions, it possibly could be the other conditions. But even with those conditions, I'll tell you now, that will not prevent you from having a baby. It will be a little complicated. It could be a little difficult, but you can still have a baby. It just sometimes it's all about timing and patience in the process. And sometimes you have to just change complete diet, which I have seen ladies do who have herpes but was struggling to have a baby. They did a whole diet change. They reduced stress, they changed jobs, changed their lifestyle in many aspects where they can take the time to really curate the space that they want to create to have that baby and to hold that baby during that time. Because some people will have babies and they'll lose babies at a certain point. So I know that also, your external has an impact on your internal as well. So please remember that part. But no, herpes has not been documented a reason why a person may or woman may have a hard time having a baby. So that's not a thing. In this process, you're thinking like, okay, I conceive regular. How do I prevent transmission? Okay, at this point, I'll be honest with you. It's the same way that you would worry about any other time of transmission. It doesn't change because now you want to get pregnant, all right? But I'm telling you now, if you're still concerned about transmission and trying to get pregnant, I want you to stop trying to get pregnant and worrying about that. You need to get to a point where you reduce your fear of transmission, because at the end of the day, if you're worrying about that, but you're trying to get pregnant, then it's going to make it a little bit harder to try to, for real, try to get pregnant for yourself, because you don't need to be in a stressful place trying to have a baby, okay? So I really just do not want you to be trying to have a baby and you're still worried about transmission, or you're still working through rejection, and you're still working those things. All of that stuff's going to affect you. It's still going to be there. Even if you get pregnant, you're still going to have that anxiety. You still have that stress that you don't want to put on the baby, and you don't need to put on yourself while pregnant. It could put you at risk of so many other things outside of, transmission. All right. So I do want you to know that the same things you would do prior to reduce transmission, it's going to be shifted a little bit, because at the end of the day, in the beginning of your pregnancy, well, when you're preparing to have a baby, you can take your antivirals and stuff like that. But after you get pregnant, you can't take your antivirals in like first trimester, second trimester. It's too early to do it, because most things, anything at that time, is kind of risky to take. So take that in consideration. Also, supplements are going to be really difficult to take if you are um even if you're trying to have a baby. Sometimes, depending on what you're taking, can also hinder. So I think it's also things you want to take in consideration, where you and your partner need to really sit down and discuss transmission in the process of conceiving, because y'all just need to understand it's a chance. Because of what y'all trying to do, it can, other things can come into play to hinder. Outside the antivirals, I would say, if you don't want to take any supplements, you're concerned that the supplements may hinder you from having a baby, or you on red supplements are, can cause you to make it difficult to have a baby, then I would say just take the antivirals to go to the doctor, get your antivirals, take your antivirals while you're in the process of conceiving. After y'all conceive, then talk to your doctor again to determine what you can do to continue on with reducing of transmission, which can be condoms, which is kind of difficult because a lot of people are not going to want to use condoms anymore. But you got to ask your doctor exactly what you can take at that time. But like I said, in the beginning of conception, first and second trimester, they're not going to let you take anything. But you and your partner really need to get to a point of, if transmission happen, what are y'all going to do? And if y'all talking about having a baby, this person really should get out of the point of worrying about getting the virus. I'm just gonna keep it a book. Not saying that shouldn't be a concern, but y'all are trying to be forever. Like, a baby is a forever thing, and y'all should have moved through that process of transmission, possibly a transmission. What would y'all do? How would y'all handle it? And if y'all have not done that, then I would say halt trying to have a baby, because a baby ain't gonna make it easier. It's gonna make it harder, okay? Because y'all still got other things to handle and deal with. All right. Next thing, when it, after conceiving and things like that, I will say this on the flip side, on wanting to become a mommy, and you don't have herpes but another person does. Okay, I'm going to kind of flip it just for my people who may be watching and say, well, I don't have herpes, I'm a mommy, I want to be a mommy, but my partner has herpes, whatever. How do that affect me? Okay, the same thing. It really don't affect you at all, because you don't have the virus at all, so you have no effect. It's just the only time it'll come into play is when you do get conceived and now you're still having sex with your partner. Now that comes into play, because chances are you can possibly contract the virus while you're pregnant. And I don't want anybody, most people, interestingly, I meet a lot of clients, I meet a lot of ladies in the community who found out they diagnosed during their pregnancy, and it took a toll on their mental health, because herpes is more psychological distress than anything. So I really would tell you that's something also you and your partner need to talk about, is how y'all gonna try to reduce that. So when it's from that standpoint, where you're the woman and you have a partner and he has the virus, he needs to really do his due diligence on not having sex with you when he's having any outbreaks, any symptoms of any sort. He needs to also, if he's taking antivirals, he needs to make sure he's taking his antivirals consistently. If he's doing supplements, he's doing it consistently, as much as possible, to try to prevent you from getting the virus, especially while you're pregnant. Okay. So they just want to put that out there. So your partner is going to be kind of on your partner's side to make sure they do those things, but just know everything's not 100%. And also, what you can do is, during the time of your pregnancy, is that y'all use condoms. Remember, condoms are not 100%, but at the end of the day, that's something else that y'all can add. Y'all can add dental dams if that person do not have genital, but they have oral and want to prevent that during oral sex. And the dental dams are great, y'all. Don't think dental dams are not bad. Dental dams, you can feel everything. It ain't no different. You still feel everything. Where that person will literally put the dental dam on your clitoris area, and you'll put it on there, and they do what they do. And if he still wants to use his hands, things like that, he can still do that. It just mouth wise will not be touching any of your private parts with that dental dam. And you find a dental dam at your OBGYNs, your local clinics, and also on Amazon. All right. And I'll put a link for that in the Amazon, I mean, in my description, so you can find that on Amazon. And then that's just the way to prevent if you want to be a mommy but with somebody who have herpes. The next thing is when it comes to dealing with outbreaks doing during a pregnancy span. All right. So during that time, you will deal with your outbreaks, not even the same per se, because you can't take antivirals if you're still in your first and second trimester. So Vanquish Care products will be the probably the best. That will be the best thing for you to do is doing something natural, and you see the link there. To help you manage that while you're pregnant, you're gonna have to change diet, like what are you eating and things like that to help. But as we know, you're gonna have a lot of hormones. Your hormones gonna be higher. Also, stress tends to come into play just because you're a mom or becoming a mom, and so you're scared. You're also dealing with a lot of things, just ups and downs. Emotions are high. You may deal with morning sickness and all these other things. And depending on what you're dealing with, some mommies go in walking into their pregnancy with complications. So that just adds natural physical stress and psychological stress. So just know, like I said, Vanquish Care products would be the best thing you could do. Really, that's all you would be able to do in the beginning of your pregnancy. And then later on, when you get about late third, fourth trimester, you'll be able to start taking antivirals to try to reduce the chance you have an outbreak when you're getting closer to your labor. Okay. So that's the only thing that you could do at that time. So link below for that. Then for my mommies who after having their baby or in the process of having their babies, your biggest concern is, can I pass it to my baby during, inside the womb? No, you cannot pass the virus inside the womb. Even if you contract the virus while there, the baby's gonna be fine. The baby is pretty much protected inside of that bubble, okay, inside the uterus. So you don't have to worry about that. It happens all the time. And if it was an issue, best believe they would say something about it. And herpes will be like ringing off the top of the dome. We'll know so much more about herpes if herpes will do babies damage in the womb. They will not play about that. They do not play about babies. Um, they did a whole lot of research on that. So no, you won't have to worry about that if you are a herpes negative, but your partner is herpes positive, and you get pregnant while you get herpes while you are pregnant. You won't have to worry about the baby being harmed at all. The baby won't be harmed. Chances are you could be having more outbreaks during that time during pregnancy, just because, like I said, the hormones and things like that. The next thing is when it's getting ready to go into labor, when you're going into labor. Now, the only concern is when you get to 36 weeks, you'll start taking your antivirals. Sometimes you can take a little bit early, just depending on what's going on in your pregnancy, or simply asking your doctor, can you take your antivirals early? And you'll just take your antivirals. Like I said, remember, antivirals are not 100%. So just because you're taking them doesn't mean you're going to 100% prevent an outbreak. You need to know your triggers to reduce that, which is going to be stress for you majority of the time. So just making sure you're getting enough rest, make sure you're staying hydrated, because a lot of mommies stay dehydrated, which is not your fault. You're not just by yourself. You got a person, sucking from you. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're properly eating your food and you're getting your nutrients, because now your body can feel weaker because the baby's taking everything from you. So your body feels weak and your immune system can take a hit sometimes. So make sure you're doing those things. Make sure you're getting proper rest, and stuff like that. So now you can just keep the stress now on your body. Okay. And sometimes the stress is not mental. You could be truly enjoying your pregnancy, no issues. It's just your body is taking a toll. So that can cause an outbreak. Okay. So, going into the labor piece, long as you're not having an outbreak, you're fine. You'll go all the way through having a vaginal birth with no problem. If you experience an outbreak right before in the span that your baby is due, or when you feel like your baby's going to be due, you need to talk to your doctor. In that time, you're going to the doctor every week anyway. But if you see something, feel something, see something, you need to go ahead and talk to your doctor. So if they need to schedule a cesarean, they can go ahead and put you on the books for that cesarean, other than you waiting and thinking it's going to go away. Now, my thing is, both of my kids, I had an outbreak right before my kids were born, but my outbreak went away before my kids were born. Thank God. But I'm not gonna say that's everybody experience. And also, I was just comfortable enough to say I'll take this risk. I wouldn't suggest that for everybody. Everybody don't. It's just not something everybody should do. But I did, and I had my babies were fine, and they did not contract it in the at all doing vaginal. I mean, doing Yeah, vaginal birth. Also, when you go into the labor, they look at your vajayjay so many times. You having herpes is in the chart. So I don't want you to think like they don't know. All the doctors will know, all the nurses will know that you have it. They'll check you. Also, when you go in there, when you go initially and they're putting everything on you, and strapping you down, like strapping you. I feel like they're strapping you down per se. They're gonna ask you, hey, can we talk to you privately, or do you want us to talk in front of people? So that's to protect your HIPAA. So if you got other people in the room and they don't know your status, you do not have to talk about it. You can sit, and everybody have to leave. Like my mom did not know my herpes diagnosis during my first child. She knew about my second one. So I had everybody step out of the room, and then we talked about it. Like, do you feel like you have any outbreaks? Do you see anything? They're like, okay, let us check. And they literally look up, down, round, round. They be all up in your woo-ha. So don't think they won't. And the longer your pregnancy go and you're there, they will literally all still come in and do double checks to make sure they don't see anything or any concerns, because they're not going to move forward. They feel like they see something that may be an issue. And if you're feeling something, remember, if your outbreaks don't include blisters, cuts, anything like that, you do want to tell them, hey, I'm feeling like I'm having an outbreak coming on, and then they can just move forward with doing a emergency cesarean, which is only emergency because you're already in labor. Not emergency because your baby is in distress. It's just because they got a plan to stick you in at that time. So that's the case for that. If you are just really concerned about having an outbreak, or you're having a bunch of outbreaks in your process, then you simply just you're going to have to do a cesarean. Just prepare for that cesarean. Make sure you have the family support. Things like that is a major surgery. So you do not want to act like, oh my God, I can jump back up. Everybody don't jump back up at all, but you're also still, taking care of a child 100%. So also remember that you got to move up and down and also take care of this child in this process. So make sure you have the support, and you can also just state you want a cesarean off the rip coming out the door. They don't determine that for you. You can determine that for yourself. And if you're with a doctor who say all we're doing is cesarean, so you want to take you want to do a vaginal, then you need to talk to a doctor, OBGYN, or a midwife who have done them and comfortable with them, and then they walk you through to try to reduce any outbreaks or anything like that throughout your whole pregnancy, to guarantee that you can pretty much have not guarantee, but increase your chances of having a vaginal purge with no issues. All right. Now, after all the baby stuff and conceiving and all those things like that, now after you have your baby, a lot of people are still concerned of how can I prevent from giving my baby herpes. Okay, if you have oral outbreaks, I strongly suggest you do not kiss your baby at all at that given time, like in the infant stage. And when I say infant, I'm still thinking like 5 and below, okay? Because at the end of the day, their bodies are very, very, very prone and very, very sensitive. And I know that's very hard and things like that, but you do not want to kiss your baby in the face. You don't want to kiss your baby on the mouth. You do not want other people kissing your baby on the mouth and things like that, because it's very dangerous and it can possibly kill your child. And you don't want that at all. So you want to take that in consideration. I know that's hard. You're going to have to work through the mental torment and things like that, but I feel like it's better to, take the precautions and figure other ways to be um intimate with your child. And I feel like kissing all over a baby is don't have to be the only way that you're intimate with a child, even though people like to do it. But we know adult mouths are very full of bacteria. It's also very risky to the baby. That's why y'all see a lot of people who kiss they folks who kiss babies on their cheek and they face be breaking all out. It's because that's bacteria, and that baby skin cannot deal with that. So I would strongly suggest you suggest it with other people around you that they don't be kissing on your baby in those first years, because in the end of the day, the baby is very sensitive. All right. Especially infants, they're very sensitive. They skin break out very easy. Um, so that's just something you want to take in consideration of. The next thing is fearful of them sharing cups and things and stuff like that with you. If you're not having a physical outbreak where it's like stuff coming out the outbreak, please relax, okay? Because at the end of the day, the chance of it's really not getting on it during shedding period. And it's shedding period is when the virus is present and you don't see it. That's not passed to a cup or a utensil or a lip balm or anything like that. It's more when you're having a physical outbreak. When you see people on people's mouth and it's open and it got blister on it, or it's fully open and you can see fluid coming out of it, that is one point where you do not want to share any items. And if you have an internal outbreaks, I would just tell you simply do not share any at all, because at the end of the day, you could be flaring in your mouth a little bit more than you know, because the mouth is so sensitive. So that's just something where you could just start telling your kids, I don't want to share any items at all. Nobody share items. You could just create that rule within your home of we don't share items. Everybody have their own item. And I also tell you, be mindful of when you're having outbreaks and let your children know, like, hey, me, mommy don't feel good. Mommy, you can't touch mommy face. You can't kiss mommy or whatever in that time. And I feel like you could do that for a child. Appropriate. You could tell that child appropriate. You don't have to tell your child you have herpes or anything like that. Especially when they're but you can let them know, like, mommy don't feel well, you can't touch mommy face. And they're like, oh, mommy, you okay? And they're gonna want to check on you and things like that. But they'll be just more mindful to know, okay, mommy's not feeling good. I can't touch that. You know, I can get that if I touch mommy and stuff like that. If you just very much educate your child, even at as low as 4 years old, you can, and they're talking, some are two. You can explain that to them, but I also don't want you in this place of if they make a mistake and do it. All you got to do if they make a mistake and touch your face or anything like that, just wash your hands. Soap and water, y'all. Just wash your hands and just breathe. All right. Because every time it's not a guarantee that they're going to get it or anything like that. But thinking like, oh my God, every moment I think that they're going to have it or they're going to get it, it's not, it's going to drive you beyond nuts. Okay. And it's not going to be good for your mental, and you possibly will have outbreaks more and more, or cause yourself to develop a mental disorder or illness because you're so stressed over the possibility, when all you can do is educate your child, educate yourself, and also try to prevent as much as possible and move forward. Okay. The next thing is that when it comes to genital, your chance of your child getting from you from genital is slim. They are not touching your genital parts. They're not gonna get it from those sheets. They're not gonna get it from a toilet stool. They're not about to get it from a towel. They're not about to get it from a rag, things like that. And we'll be honest, most people do not share rags and towels with their children anyway. That's just not something most people do anyway. So that's not what you're gonna worry about. But your child can sleep in a bed with you with no problem and all that stuff like that. They're not touching your genitals. Like, they have no reason to be touching your genitals. So stop, you can stop worrying about that part. Also, washing everything and spraying everything down with bleach, it's not doing anything. It's not doing anything. Like, it's nothing wrong with being clean. Being overly clean is not going to get rid of the virus in your own body. Okay. At the end of the day, it's just taking precautions when need be. And that's mostly is when you're having an outbreak. When you have a genital, it's not something to worry about. Oral, it's really not nothing to worry about. It's just, you can't share an item at that time, or simply they know they can't touch you in the face, because I have my 10-year-old love to touch me in my face, and I'm be like, boy, get your hands out my face. Okay. So that just be something that you'll have to teach them right away, so they have an understanding, and just redirect them, not popping them or hitting them or anything like that, but just redirecting them so they understand early on, that mommy's not feeling 100. You can't put your hands in mommy's face, and you can't do things. Just watch your tone with it. You don't want to sound mean and stuff like that, but I know it could come off that way. But you want to work on that, to just let them know, like, mommy, you just can't do that to mommy at that time. So that's that. Like I said, not over cleaning things. That's not going to help the situation. It's just really going to break your hands down, because you put on your hands all that stuff and all the chemicals, and it's not going to do nothing. You're just going to be spending all that money on your house to be extra extra clean for no reason. I'm just going to be honest with you. So that's just something. I can hear somebody kind of feeling like, well, on the back of the bottles they say, lysine, not lysine, one of the cleaning products, what is it, God, it started with an L. It's at the top of my tongue. It'll come to me in a minute. It stayed on the back that it can kill herpes, HS1, HS2. I feel like at the end of the day, it can clean the surface, but my whole thing, chances are you getting it from a surface is slim. Okay, it's very, very slim. And if you're worrying about you get it from a surface, you're worrying about, you're putting more energy into that than you are energy of them possibly getting through skin to skin. And you can prevent more skin to skin, and you can prevent this, just watching the stuff out. But overly cleaning and overly doing it is just not going to do you no justice. It's going to cause you more harm than them. Chances are they won't get it, and you'll just be stressed for no reason at all, and not having healthy interactions with your children and then your family members in your home. It would just make the environment in your home very uncomfortable and very weird, because at the end of the day, they won't know why you're acting this way. They will think you're kind of losing your mind. And my whole thing, you don't want to think you're losing your head, okay? Because chances are you're not going to tell everybody in your household that you have herpes, or possibly you may not tell them at all, outside of your partner, if he's in the home or she's in the home. So it's just things like that that you don't want to create this this uncomfortable environment in your home that wasn't there prior. All right, so that's just something to take in consideration of. um what else? Also, being a mommy, as your kids get older, you do want to just have healthy conversations about herpes and what it looks like and how to assist them in reducing. I'm not telling you you have to tell your child you have herpes. Now, my kids know I have herpes, and I do suggest when your child get into teen age that you do tell your child, because children relate better when they know somebody who have it, and also can properly ask questions, and also have the connection to know if something happened that they have someone to go to. um STIs are foreign to children, especially teenagers, until they know somebody who have it, and also who's living a normal life and thriving. So I said, when they get to teen age, I strongly suggest you tell your child, hey, I contracted blah 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 at this time, so then you can help them see, like, it happened to me, it happened to me, it happened to daddy. This is how we learn how to navigate and look at life. Now you're able to navigate. Let's try to prevent you from getting it. Now with little children, like I said, my 10-year old, my biggest thing is just telling him certain things, like, this is this, that's that, and just use children language. Okay, use children language, because many children are getting or cold sores and things like that from other classmates and things like that, because they all over each other, they touching all over each other. Kids be doing interesting thing, as we know, little children be kissing on each other, and they don't say do it from a bad place. They do it from what they see at home and want to just show affection. So don't, beat the kids up about that, but it's just things that you teach them as they're getting older. It's like, yeah, you don't kiss your classmates, and you don't share stuff with your classmates, and all the stuff. If you share something with somebody, make sure you give it to your teacher so they can wash it off really good for you, and things like that that you could teach them. But also teach them in a way of, not from a standpoint, but more of a, oh, okay, well, this is what my mommy taught me, and my mommy told me to do this every time, just to be safe and things like that. Just so I won't get sick or somebody else can get sick from each other. So you can just make it where it's not so fear based. You don't want to scare a child, because if you scare a child, they're gonna go out here and amplify your fear um with ease, because you're displaying it. So that's just something you want to take in consideration of. And like I said, your teens, you do want to educate your teens on STIs. Also, like I said, telling them it helps. You'll be surprised it helps, because my oldest son comes to me and all his friends have had sex but him, and one of his friends had sex, and he was like, man, I gotta get tested. I was like, yeah. I said, why you didn't use protection? My son was like, man, why you didn't use protection? He was like, well, I don't know, blah blah blah. He was like, I told him he can get an STI, mom. I could tell him, yeah. I said, yeah, he could. And, and he came to me and he asked me certain questions, and stuff like that. And because my son is educated, he's able to educate his friends. So even if he don't come to me right away, he'll know enough to educate his friends and keep his friends protected as much as possible. And if he feel, which he is very comfortable, he'll bring the phone in there with me and say, tell him this and tell him that, and bring this up and bring him that. The boys know that I'm the mama that, I comfortably talk about sex. I'm the mama who comfortably talk to the boys, and that they have kind of have an outlet that they can come and ask me questions. And that's not from a judgy place, but it's more of a just being there for them, and that they have a place where they can ask questions with no judgment. Um and just assist them in their childhood per se. I'm that mama, among my son's friends. So that's just something I just want to put out there. I tell you now, you could be a mom, you can enjoy motherhood, but at the end of the day, you most importantly, to enjoy your motherhood, make sure you are good. You are good. Being a mom, you're gonna be a mom. You're gonna provide. You're gonna do all the things you need to do. You're gonna make sure their children or their child is very much taken care of. Well, make sure you take care of yourself, because the better the mom is, the better the child is. Okay, your child picks up more of your mental health and your psychological health, emotional health, spiritual health, because of what they see you go through. So you do want to be mindful that you're taking care of yourself. If you have a new diagnosis or an old diagnosis, dealing with it, that you get the help necessary to get through it, which you can book a session with me and we can talk through it, because I get it. Um, that you just want to move through that, and the link for that is going to be below. So you just really want to work through those things, because it will take a toll on your children. I've had clients reach out to me and say, Belize, I'm not really being a mom, I'm not hugging my children, I'm not, I don't want to be around them, I don't want to do these things. And I get where they're coming from, because they're so terrified of passing the virus to their child. And I tell you now, you can reduce the fear. Okay, the fear is going to hurt the child more than the virus will simply hurt the child at that moment. Like, your behavior, chances of your child may not ever get it, but your fear of it is going to scare your child, and they don't know what's wrong with you. they have no clue. They're gonna be trying to be all over you because they're like, mommy is scared or mommy this. They can pick up. Kids can pick up emotions, y'all. So I think sometimes as mommies, we do need to be mindful to take care of our mental and emotional health because our children pick up on those things. Remember, they was in the womb, they felt all that stuff, they know what it feels like from you. Is just radiate from you. They feel the frequency of it. So just know if you're down or sad, your child come checking on you and trying to hug you. It's because they know what your sadness feel. They know what your mad feel like. They know what your, all of those things feel like with you. So please don't think they don't know just because they're little people. They still have a very big understanding based off what they felt in the womb with you. So I hope this helped y'all. Share this with some mommies or mommies to be. Also if you're a father or want to be a father and you're dating somebody and y'all looking to or married, and y'all looking to have a baby or possibly in the process of having a baby, please share this video so she has a very big understanding and you have an understanding on how a mommy with herpes or possibly a mommy with herpes can look like and how to navigate it. So I love you guys and I'll talk to y'all soon. Link everything's below. Also, listen to my podcast. It is below. I have 2 episodes out. Next episode come out on Monday. And it's interesting because it's gonna be my 15-year-old son talking on that one. He's like, what is about? Right. Right. So I'm giving him a platform to kind of share some stuff. My teenager is so funny, and just learning stuff from him is interesting and hearing him. So y'all gonna hear me talk to him about what is about from his standpoint as a teenager and how little boys, teen boys really think. It's interesting. It's gonna be a good show. So I love you guys, and we'll be talking soon. Bye.